This story takes place during the holidays of 2010. I can remember like it was yesterday. I remember I was working at the library. People were coming in, getting books and studying. This fine young gentleman came in. He was getting a book. He came up to the front desk. I remember his first words to me. "Howdy, miss." I smiled back and said, "Hello there." The gentleman said, "Nice weather we're having." I smiled and said yes. After I gave the gentleman his book, on his way out he said, "I'll see you around, gorgeous." I think I may have blushed, but not gonna lie, that made my day. It was around 4 o'clock. My shift was over for the day. I locked up the library and left. I walked to my car, I got in, and drove home. Before I went home, I picked up dinner at a fast food restaurant. Snowflakes were coming down as I was driving home. People started to putting their Christmas lights up, making the whole town look all merry and bright. I arrived home and put the Christmas lights on, including my tree. I lit the fire in my fireplace. I got under the blankets and sat down on the couch. I remember the exact movie I was watching, the first Die Hard movie. My dog Chloe came and sat on the couch with me. She was holding one of her stuffed toys. All of a sudden, there was a knock on my door. I looked at my phone. The time said 8 o'clock. I thought to myself, who would come at this hour? I knew it wasn't my mother. She was the one that would always call me to let me know that she would be coming over. I went to my door and opened it. There was the gentleman from the library. "Evening, miss," he said. "Hello. What brought you here?" I asked. The gentleman had some behind his back. "Sir, what's behind your back?" I asked. The gentleman surprised me with a bouquet of flowers. "Red roses." "Sir, what is this for?" I asked. "It's for you," he said. "For me? But why?" I asked. I'll never forget those words he told me, and to this day, as I'm writing this, it still melts my heart. He told me I was the most gorgeous woman ever, and I deserved these for being such a hard worker at the library, and because it's the holidays too. The gentleman then asked me out on a date to go get coffee. I smiled and said yes. The following morning, I was getting ready for my date with the gentleman. I never asked for his name right away. I should have, though. It was around 11 o'clock in the morning. The gentleman was outside. He came to the door, and we walked to his car. I remember he was driving a 1970s Chevy. I remember the color of the car. It was blue. The gentleman opened the door and I got in. He closed the door, and he got onto the driver's side. "I'm taking you to a nice cafe downtown," he told me. The drive was very nice. I remember it was a nice day out. 10 minutes later, we made it to the coffee shop. The cafe was called Riverfront Cafe. The gentleman held the door open for me and we both walked in. We ordered our food and drinks and then we both sat down. The gentleman mentioned how pretty my name was. I smiled and said thank you. The gentleman then got embarrassed as he told me he forgot to tell me his name. He put his hand out and said, "My name is Peter." I told him I really liked that name as well. He smiled. I think I may have made him blush. I may have made him blush too. I could t- I could tell that Peter was into me. Okay, I started having feelings for him too. We sat at the coffee shop for a while and we chat. After that, he asked me if I wanted to go for a walk with him. I said yes. The park was a 20-minute drive from the cafe. Moments later, we made it to the park. We got out of the car and we both walked the trail. I remember the nice, wholesome gesture Peter did. Halfway we were walking, Peter said to me, "You look cold. Here, take my jacket." Peter took off his coat and put it on me. I remember smiling like crazy. I remember telling Peter that he didn't have to do that. Peter said, "I know I didn't have to, but I wanted to." I felt like tearing up. Happy tears, I mean. I never had a man do this to me before. It was like a holiday miracle, even though it was like the beginning of December. We continued walking the path for a while, then we decided to head back to the car. I looked at my phone and I realized it was almost dinner time. Peter suggested that he would cook me dinner. I told Peter he was such a sweetheart, but he didn't have to. He said, "Nonsense, let me do something special for you." We got back to my apartment and Peter told me to relax while he cooked. I was confused at first why Peter was doing all this stuff. I know we just met at the library not too long ago, but my mind went blank after that. The smell of Peter's cooking caught me off guard. I went to the kitchen where I saw Peter making dinner. I asked Peter what he was cooking. Peter told me that he was cooking shepherd's pie. I was impressed by his cooking skills. The food smelled so good. I questioned Peter how long he's been cooking. He told me he took culinary classes for 3 years at different campuses. He told me that he had a portfolio of all the different food and recipes he cooked. I was quite impressed there, I must say. Moments later, the food was done and was ready to be served. I took one bite of the shepherd's pie. Thought I was nearly gonna faint. It was so good. I told Peter the food was delicious. He smiled. About 8 p.m., Peter decided to head home. Peter asked me if I wanted to have dinner on Monday. I smiled and said, of course. On his way out, Peter said, "See you then, gorgeous." He left. I never felt so happy. I called my mother and told her what happened today. My mom was so happy. She told me that Peter was a keeper. At first, I wasn't unsure, but after Mom told me to forget about my past relationship, I figured it was the best. I figured it was the best to move on and focus on now. As Monday came around, I met Peter at a restaurant. I also surprised him by bringing my mother along too, so she could meet him. I remember the three of us were having a blast. It was the most incredible night I have ever had. My mother really liked Peter. It made me smile. I couldn't stop smiling the entire night. 2 weeks later, it was finally Christmas Eve. I was in my apartment with Peter sitting on the couch watching Hallmark Christmas movie under the mistletoe. It was cute. It was cute and a funny romantic movie. Halfway during the movie, Peter put his arm around me and pulled me in close to him so we could cuddle. I was a little nervous at first, but I told myself everything was fine. I wasn't going to let my anxiety ruin this special moment. Peter put a kiss on my cheek. I jumped a bit. "You kissed me," I told Peter. "Yes, I did," he said. "You got a little something on your lips," he said. "I do?" I asked. Right then, Peter kissed me on the lips. He kissed me passionately and softly. I remember I was blushing right there. I remembered him teasing me about it. After he kissed me, Peter told me something that still to this day brings me joy and makes me fall in love with him more every day. That night on Christmas Eve, Peter said he wanted me to be his girl, his Christmas gift, his moon and stars. I cried tears of joy and I said yes. Peter and I dated for 4 years, and now Peter and I have been married for almost 2 years now. We are currently living in a wonderful home with 2 children, a son and a daughter. Sadly, my dog Chloe didn't make it, but we did get another dog and a cat too. But the cat belongs to our daughter. My life has just gotten better, and I couldn't be any more blessed than I already am. Happy holidays.